in frame one, and we see Joe at the table on a break of 17. Let's join your commentators, Darren Morgan and John Virgo, guiding you through this one.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Well, this frame started off with a tactical exchange. Most of the safety being played near the top cushion.
20.
But we'll show in a moment how Joe started this contribution by picking out a wonderful plant to the middle.
$21.
And this was it. The red just below the black, one red onto another. Screwing back, there you see, right in the heart of the pocket on the black. And he's still at the table. And the perfect start, really. Because there's nothing better, Darren, is it? Get your hand on the table and start getting your cue arm going, get the pace.
No, that's absolutely correct, John. This is probably Joe Connor's first time on the main TV table at any venue. I take on board what Ian said. He's only earned £21,000 so far in his career, but this is his first year in the professional ranks, and we're about just over halfway through, so he's done very, very well to have earned that kind of money. Big opportunity for him today in winning. He would double that. Is nigh on guaranteeing his tour card for a further 2 years after next year. They've got to earn so much now in a 2-year period
25.
to hold on to their ticket. So it's a good start for him.
Yeah, tough at the top, even tougher at the bottom. But that was a little tester there with the rest. He just overscrewed his last positional shot, but he coped with it well. And this looks to be inch perfect. And once he pots this red to the left corner, he will release the other two reds just
29.
below the pink to the right corner. First ever quarter-final. His heart must be thumping.
$30.
Even if he's straight on the pink, he'll be happy. As I say, potting that red he did. At least one of these two reds will go for certain. There you see. Straight on the pink shouldn't be a problem. If you're being picky, you'd like to be a little bit off straight so you could stay closer to the reds, but shouldn't cause a problem.
$36.
He's taken these very well so far. Very calm and collected. He's looking at the top red, just making sure it squeezes past the bottom one. Well, it must be tight, because I think he's electing to play the bottom of the two.
37.
Must have been very tight then, because that was much more difficult a shot than the top red. But he's played it very well.
Yeah, he did play it very well. It's one of those, if you decelerate, you can always miss them. Got some very good wins already in this tournament, when you consider.
44.
Beat Kyron Wilson, who's tipped by many as a future world champion. Could be this year. And in the last round,
45.
Ding Junhui. 4-1. So John Higgins wanted to come out here today thinking this was going to be a formality. And so far, it has to be said, it's in the centre of the pocket. And that's
51.
always a nice confidence booster when the balls are going in clean. 51-point lead, looking for 3 more reds. Well,
Thanks, John.
that one didn't go in the centre, just
52.
squeezed in. Nicely on this black to play for the red just below the pink in the opposite corner. Red, colour red,
59.
to win the first frame with his first chance. Impressive. Could have played that better. The only thing about this, in potting the pink, you think he's naturally going to run into the 2 reds on the right half of the table. And he'll need one of them. This pink will put him 66 points in front with 67 remaining.
That one straight into the centre of that pocket.
66.
Pink disappeared. He's left this red to left corner. What a great shot of us seeing the cue go through in a perfect
67.
straight line. This has been a great start from Joe O'Connor. John Higgins now realises the occasion's not going to put this lad off. There's always a chance of that happening. Occasion being too big for him. His first frame. He begs to differ.
73.
Yeah, and also, as I say, you know, when you beat Kyron Wilson, Dean Jung Wei, that's going to give you confidence, and you get confidence from winning. Well, the double's not there.
73.
He'll go back
and
to
the
his
first frame.
seat, and John Higgins has conceded. 2 snookers needed. Didn't want to be bothered with them. So what a start for Joe O'Connor. Continues his good form. He leads the defending champion 1-0.
Well, we saw Joe here in the back of the practice room earlier on, just knocking up ahead of his big game against John Higgins, and he looked pretty relaxed and confident, didn't he? And that's exactly what you need at the start of a game against somebody like Higgins.
Definitely so. Problem is, John Higgins has seen all this before. He was under pressure in his previous match against Jack Lisowski, came back and managed to win. He might be a bit surprised about that, John Higgins. He didn't pot a ball in that frame. One chance from Joe O'Connor, 73 break. But I did speak to Joe briefly before he went out to play, and he said the only other big TV match he's ever played was a couple of years ago in a PTC event in Poland, in Warsaw. And he played Judd Trump on that occasion. I don't know whether he won or lost, actually. I did forget to ask him, but that might just stand him in good stead this afternoon. What a start.
Absolutely. Do you think the nerves will be jangling there, or is he covering them up? How is he feeling at the moment? Because it is a new situation for him.
Difficult to say, but if you look at him there, that 73 break, it looked as though he'd played many matches on the television table. He didn't look fazed by it all whatsoever. And John will put him under pressure, and he will make mistakes. You'd expect that. I mean, John Higgins, one of the game's greatest ever players. I'm looking for a riposte from him. But, you know, it's best of 9 now, so there's a little bit more breathing space for John.
Where is John at the moment? You are one of his victims this week, of course. He beat you in the second round, although he didn't look entirely happy then with his performance. He knows there's more in the tank, doesn't he?
Yes. A little bit inconsistent, John, and that's, you know, that's borne out by the fact that he says by his own admission he doesn't practice as much these days. But of course he's played numerous matches now. He's practiced here. He's got a lot of table time behind him, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if John just gets stronger and stronger as the tournament progresses. He's in the quarter-finals now. If he does get through this match, he's going to be very tough to beat now.
One of those players, isn't he, who seems to agitate and sort of he's quite hard on himself even when he is doing well.
Yeah, I suppose so. Sometimes you look at his demeanour in the seat and he's rubbing his eyes. He looks like, you know, the world's falling down around his feet. But doesn't really matter with John. We've seen for many decades now that that's just the way he is, but it doesn't mean that he's thinking negatively. He's a great player, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this match and see how Joe O'Connor copes with it all.
Well, let's see what Higgins has got in response to Joe O'Connor taking that 1-0 lead.
So off we go then. Higgins breaking off. He's got a very good cue ball. As Dominic said, there's a very long way to go in this match. There'll be no warning signs yet going off in John Higgins' ears, but this young man, Joe O'Connor, he's got everything to gain, nothing really to lose, other than the quarter-final, obviously. And John's still looking to hit a good vein of form. But you do feel the longer the matches go, the stronger he's going to get. It's unbelievable for us to be saying after all the events he's won, all the World Championships he's won, and now that he's struggling with confidence. But that's exactly what's happening at the moment.
Caught that much too thick. Looking for the baulk cushion, not the baulk line. Yeah, and we can only go off what John Higgins is telling us. It's John Higgins who's telling us that he's not happy with his game and he's struggling with confidence. It's not us just looking at his performances. So he's got to get that out of his mind, because he might have a game on here. I was very impressed with Joe O'Connor in that first frame. Did play the pot there, but it was one of those that you always err on the side of hitting it a little bit thinner, just in case you missed it. And he'll be happy with the outcome.
Well, that one just went a little bit wrong. It didn't look like he could get in behind the red there. Right to the left cushion was cutting off his path. He has left Joe O'Connor this red to the right corner, but it's a tricky one. No guarantee with position, so he's going to keep it tight. He does play a very percentage and methodical game, Joe O'Connor. It's not the kind of player that pushes the boat out.
Well, that wasn't a bad kiss on the green. That was a little bit pacey. It could well have come in and out of baulk, but for that kiss. Yeah, and all those years, or the few years he's had on the amateur circuit, of course that used to be the way into the professional game. You learnt your trade, if you like. It was like an apprenticeship. So he's been through all that, and English amateur champion. And you don't win those type of tournaments just by being a potter. You've got to have a B game, so to speak. Little tap on the table from John Higgins, because that was an excellent safety shot from Joe. We just had to play this with just a tracer right-hand side, swing it round off the 2-3 cushions. Couldn't have played it much better.
Again, a very pacey one from John Higgins, and under normal circumstances you would think If Joe Connor was going to pit his skills in the safety department with someone of the calibre of John Higgins, he'd probably come off second best. But as we've already said, that man in his chair has been very hard on himself over the last couple of months. He struck that one well. Wasn't far away. He's got a good cue ball though.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Darren. He did strike this well. Didn't overhit it. Okay, it didn't go in, but you can't put everything. But it was a controlled screw. You see so many players hitting it too hard and make the pot more difficult. It's a better safety from John. Much better. Once again, John Higgins just not finding the edge of the red as he would like to have done. And hand on the table, Joe may be tempted into playing this red. Probably screw back once again, which makes the pot more difficult. Well, he couldn't have been much closer with that.
Yes, it was a very clean strike. You can probably say it was only the pace that kept it out, because we have seen all week balls hitting our near jaw and going in these corner pockets. He hasn't left anything easy. We might even see John Higgins play a safety, because he's there used to be bread and butter shots for him. The red just below the pink. But that tells you how he's feeling. He's refusing this. Needs to get a good cue ball. And that's not bad at all.
Yeah, good shot. I mean, obviously he had a couple of pots, but there was no value because the pink and black he couldn't get on. But playing safe off that red has now cleared the black somewhat. It is available into the right corner now. So Joe needs a good safety here, and it's not always easy when you're near that baulk cushion. Let's see if he can find the edge and find the baulk cushion back. Well, got it a little bit thick, that's why he cannoned into the black, but he'll be pleased with the outcome. Bit fortunate there, has to be said. Yeah, he didn't play to kiss the black. Played to hit that red and run around the back of the black. As I say, bit fortunate. And this is a tester now from John Higgins, particularly as with what we've seen before. He's not been hitting these type of shots consistently. Too thin. That's why it's bouncing on and off the baulk cushion. But it could be the blues come to his rescue. Yes. There was a red there, you see, available to this corner, but the blue's covering the path to it. Don't want to hit the black this time. He's not found the ball cushion, but he'll be very pleased with that, leaving John hampered from that distance. This is going to be a very difficult safety shot for John.
Yeah, Sean, that's what we would term as he's got a very smelly shot. This next one. That's why he's electing to play the red to the left cushion. At least he can hit half the cue ball. Just got to make sure he doesn't get it thin, which he's managed. He's a little bit short with the cue ball, but he'll settle for that. He's having a little look there if he can have a go at this red at the left corner and find the gap, but that's a big shot. Very big indeed. He's going for it. You would feel if he finds the gap, there's a good chance he'll cannon the black if he makes the pot.
One.
But he'll settle for that. He's had the right kind of cannon there. Albeit he's wrong side of the blue. What a great strike.
Yeah, that's what's impressing me at the moment, the way he's delivering the cue. Even on the gentle shots, he's getting the cue through the ball, which you've got to do, particularly on these super fine cloths. Impressive so far.
Six.
Now he just wanted to screw back a little to get to this red that just below the black, but don't think he screwed back enough. Well, he's playing this one with the rest. One of those, the left hand of the two reds furthest away from us in the middle of the table. This is a toughie. Well, it was a toughie, believe me. And another solid pot. Okay, he'll be hampered for the black, but he's got a nice blue to the far right corner. What a good shot that was with the rest.
Got to make sure with this one he gets eye side of the blue.
13.
And he's played for the black. So obviously that would say the black goes easily to the right corner. Don't think it'll go in the left corner once it's been respotted.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this black goes. I, like you, thought he had a good angle on the red to go up for the blue. So where does the black go now? Well, it comfortably goes on its own spot, but it certainly won't go to the left corner.
Yes, he's made things a little bit more awkward, I think, with his choice of shot there. He struck that nicely. He's going to need another good pot now. I think he made a misjudgment with his last call. Still, it's been a great start. He didn't hold back with that one either.
Yeah, if anything, he hit it too well.
26.
Doesn't look like missing anything easy. I don't want to put the mockers on him, but looks very steady when he's down. This red obviously goes to the middle. Come back for the black.
27.
Now, pot the black, play a little cannon on those two reds in the middle of the table, because the red that's just to the left of the cue ball now, if you can get straight on that, you can play for the black again. So it just needs this little cannon to go right here. He's okay. He's okay. Didn't hit it as full as he wanted to, but it's all right.
Yes, and now you'd have to say he made the right choice with playing that black instead of going up for the blue. He's had to play a couple of real tricky shots to get back into this position. Well, he's done all the hard work.
34.
He's done all the hard work. Oh, he'll be absolutely mad with himself.
Yeah, and the thing was, I thought he was okay. That wasn't the red he played for. He played for the one in the full pocket. But having missed it, and look at the easy starter, and this clears the black spot area.
1.
Well, what has John played there? Never got through it at all. The first ball he's potted in the match, so maybe we can forgive him, but that's a poor positional shot. I don't expect him to miss the black, but he should have been on it better than this.
Eight. Nine.
And that all was caused because you didn't get good position on the black first time around. If it had been perfect on the black, you'd have had no problem potting that red and being on the black. But as you can see, that's end of break unless he takes on something very risky. And I don't think he'll be doing that the way his opponent started.
You could see how, couldn't you, John? John Higgins was fuming then with that last shot.
Green
He's
ball.
absolutely livid. I think he's done well there to calm himself down
John Higgins now.
without rushing, because I think he just wanted to rush and go for the long blue or the yellow straight off, but took control of himself, played the right shot. He had to take his medicine.
Well, that red has come twice across. Couldn't have really envisaged that. He's left a chance of this pot. But I'm not certain, Darren, whether John is that full of confidence at the moment. So this isn't a certainty.
No, but I think he can play the one, and as long as he gets close to it, he should get the half ball cannon on the other end, so as the cue ball should come back up towards the bulk end.
1.
That's what he's played, and he's played it very well. That's probably the best shot he's played so far in his first couple of frames, albeit he hasn't landed perfect on this yellow, but he has got a shot. Maybe coming down for the red nearest the pink spot. And he struck that confidently as well. Still short on this next one.
3.
Now this is a test of his cueing. He's going to have to go straight through the middle of the cue ball here. With lots of bottom. He's probably going to get the half ball cannon on the red to the far left. Well, he's cannoned both of them. That's why he's lost the cue ball. It was a good strike.
Yeah, sure, John.
Well, he's decided that the only way he can get position on the next red without having to do too much is to play this difficult pink. And he'll have to stun this in. He just can't roll it in dead weight because he wouldn't be on the red. So he's going to try and stop the cue ball somewhere near where the pink is. This needs good cueing. Yeah, no, that was a tough shot, that.
John Higgins 4.
Particularly when you're playing the stun. If he'd have rolled it in dead weight, I couldn't have seen him miss it. But he wouldn't have been on the red. And of course, now he's on the red, but he's in his chair watching his opponent play it.
One.
Again, very confidently played. And he's perfect on this blue. Balls are not in a great position, it has to be said, in this frame. Just be rolling through for the red nearest the black. I think the red below
6.
the black to the left will go into the pocket where the pink is, as long as he gets rid of it after this next red.
Yeah, it's difficult to say because if he plays for the pink, you wonder how he can get back across for that red, as you say, that will definitely go. Is he going to try and bring a few reds away from the cushion in this? Hopefully still be on the pink.
7.
Well, he played it, but he didn't really fully commit to it. Glance at the scoreboard. He's a scoreboard glancer, is he? It's a bit early to look for what the score is. But I suppose 28 points in front, he may consider trying to knock this green in a sort of safety position. Or will he go for it? He's going for it. Yep. Played it well. It's difficult to say sometimes from the commentary box
10.
what sort of the potting angle is, but he just managed to miss the brown. So he's on this red in a fashion.
$11.
Another great shot there. I mean, he might just be playing the pink now, just come off the side cushion. He'll have a shot on the red to the right corner. And he can have a go at this. He'll play it with run inside. Probably played as a bit of a shot to nothing.
70.
Well, he's got a 38-point lead. If he can pot this red and get either blue, pink or black, John Higgins will need a snooker. Caught it too
Draw,
full.
Connor.
Yes, the
17.
problem is he did play with run inside, didn't he, John? With playing with the left-hand side to try and help the red into the pocket. He's just thrown the cue ball into the red sooner than he'd have liked. John Higgins would love to be able to get it right into this cue ball and drag across and develop these two reds, but I think it's too much for him.
One.
That's why he's electing for the half-ball blue. That's just about perfect.
I always remember the great Eddie Charlton, the Australian player, always say, never try to develop a red when potting a red, because you're never certain to be on the colour. And I think that's what put John Higgins off there, but he's got to avoid this pink here to get the cannon. Well, he's brought them into play,
6.
but no real advantage, you wouldn't have thought. Well, was that the right
John
shot?
Higgins 6.
Very hard to criticise any shot selection from the great man, but that was pushing the bolt out somewhat. Just looking for a red and a colour here is Joe O'Connor. John Higgins lucky to have hampered him. The red in the middle of the table would be a shot he'd take on all the time, but it being hampered by the other red makes it very difficult and missable.
One.
Well, again, a terrific pot. And you would feel now, with that red so close to the right corner, he hasn't got to do a lot with the cue ball from the screen. Just make sure of the pot and get the white down past the middle jaws.
Yeah, green's the ball that will put him in snooker's required. But with someone like John Higgins, you don't want to give him any chance of a comeback. So once he pots this red, it'll be 2-0.
4. Five.
This has been a perfect start for Joe O'Connor. These opening two frames. Other than the one chance that John Higgins had
11.
and played a very poor positional shot off the opening red, he hasn't really had much else to go for.
13.
He is really striking the ball with terrific confidence.
$16.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt, Darren, that John Higgins, even at this early stage of this match, got to up his game.
Absolutely.
20.
I mean, to be fair to Jack Lisowski had John last night on toast, and he had two great chances to put him away in that final frame and
25.
just didn't do it. But the way this young lad is playing, I don't think he's going to need too many chances to put him away.
31.
Confidently struck pink and confidently end to the second frame. John Higgins just leaves the arena. He's got a lot to think about. He now trails 2 frames to 0.
Yes, I think the fact that John Higgins has decided to leave may have inspired Joe O'Connor to go out as well, but he'd be feeling very, very happy. It's that C word, Dominic, is it? We always use confidence, and, you know, tremendous start by O'Connor. He's the one full of confidence, whereas John Higgins' confidence just seems to be down there at the moment.
Definitely, the way things are after watching those first 2 frames, it looks as though Joe O'Connor's more comfortable out there at the moment than John Higgins is, and John Higgins has got to do something pretty quick. I know it's best of 9 now, but if he were to lose the next frame, 3-0 down, he's in real trouble.
Yeah, first to 5, of course, wins it at this stage. Let's have a look at, you know, a few examples of O'Connor's play. Some couple of really good reds, first of all.
Yeah, this was a great shot. He's actually got too much action on the cue ball there. Wanted that cue ball stop about now, and he'd be beautifully on the black. He's hampered by the blue, so has to take the blue instead. And then this was a great shot because, one, it's difficult, intrinsically difficult. He knows in the back of his mind if he misses it could cost him the frame, because look what he's left John Higgins in for there, had that red not gone in. And he's done the hard work. Just one good pot and position needed, and he misses, well, for him, what should have been a rudimentary red. I just feel that's a mental error that caused him to miss that one.
I guess what he's thinking there as he looks down at the table is, oh, that might be the frame. I might have dropped it, blown it at that point. Somebody like Higgins is going to come in and punish me for that.
That's exactly what goes through your mind. You think, hang on a minute, if I can knock this in and get on the black, it could be 2-0. So you're basically thinking ahead and not keeping your mind in the present. And, you know, but we're not robots, you know, we're human beings, and you're fallible in those sort of regards, those areas in the mental side of the game. And
usually you would expect Higgins to do exactly that, to punish his opponent if they make mistakes. But look at this, Dominic. It's Higgins making mistakes.
Yes, this was a tough shot for John. Playing it with pace, had to get the cue ball out away from the side cushion there for a chance of the colour, because he needed a colour from that red. He was actually lucky to leave Joe O'Connor hampered on the red, but still a great pot that he knocked in afterwards and won the frame from it.
Both players still out at the moment. I think I can see John making his way back in on the corner of my eye there. You know, where does he go from here? Because they were saying in commentary that he just doesn't look like he's got any confidence at the moment. He's not taking risky shots because he can't back himself to put them away.
It's horrible when he's so trepidant that you're fearful of playing what you know deep down is the right shot to play, and you don't play it with any confidence. You just make mistake after mistake. It's a horrible feeling to have. But you know, I can't help but wonder. I feel sometimes that John's more vulnerable against players he doesn't know or feels that he's a heavy favourite to beat. It's almost as though he looks at the public's perception of the match and thinks he's supposed to win this match, and he feels that extra burden of pressure on him. Sometimes I feel John Higgins is more comfortable playing higher-ranked players.
So playing players that he's played over and over again, whereas he's never played O'Connor before, of course. 23 years of age, Joe O'Connor, and you even like his hairstyle, don't you, Dom?
Well, yes, that slightly bouffant hairstyle, a la Terry Griffiths, I think, from the 70s and 80s.
Shame Terry's not down there to comment on that, but never mind. Back to John and Darren.
Yeah, I agree with most of what's been said. I think the one thing that stands out to me at the moment, though, Darren, is John Higgins' safety play has got to be a bit more consistent. He's leaving too many easy safeties or pots on for his opponent. He's got to try and tighten it up a bit.
Yes, I agree, John. Especially when you look at the way Joe O'Connor's potting balls. He's not needing easy chances at the moment. Long way, big difference with the percentages on the safety and balls potted. Worrying signs for John Higgins fans. I mean, that again, that shot there, that cue ball should have been nowhere near the corner pocket. And he's had a little wry smile to himself as he went back to his chair, because he knows he's didn't play it very well. It's very good.
Good shot. Nice touch there from John Higgins. Yeah, it's funny how the bookmakers would have betted on this match, really, because, you know, when you look at Joe O'Connor, he's beat Kyron Wilson, Ding Junhui. I mean, they're people you could say are in better form at the moment than John Higgins, if you took a line through that.
Yes, John, but he's beaten both of them on the outside tables as well, which, as I've said, you know, many a time in commentary, it's a massive difference to playing out here on the match arena table. I mean, Ding Junhui and Kyron Wilson, they play most of their matches now on the match table, and it had been a little bit alien to them going out in the long grass, as we say. But he looks very comfortable out here, and why not? He's obviously under pressure. He's under pressure to win the match, and he wants to further himself and now get to his first semi-final. But in the terms of things, that's the only pressure, and that pressure's what he puts on himself. Otherwise, he's got everything to gain here, and nothing really to lose other than his place in the tournament. John Higgins is the one under pressure.
Well,
He played that one. He played that one like he's under a lot of pressure, didn't he?
Yeah. And once again, right in the heart of the pocket. You know, they're not struggling to go in. Didn't try to do too much with the cue ball. Wrong side the blue, as you can see. Now, what he's got to do here, it's going to be risky to try and go in between yellow and brown because the green there, so he's got to get really deep into this and play a screw and avoid the kiss on the brown. Did a pretty good job of that. Yeah, he made it look easier than it was. You had to really get some grip on that cue ball to avoid the kiss. Now, I don't know whether there's a way he can get position on the black off this red. Probably not. No, I think he's going to try and run through and go up for the blue. Oh, wow. And you know why he did that? Because he put a load of right-hand side on. And it didn't push as he thought it would do. That was all about playing it with side. If you'd have said pot the red, he could have potted it no problem, but he was trying to get back up for the blue.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Yeah, cheers, John.
Well, just flicked the green, otherwise he'd have had John Higgins snookered on all reds there for certain. Certainly competing with the legend that is John Higgins in the safety. He caused John once again to hit it too thick. And that's why he's only just found the baulk line.
Well,
Well, again, another crisp pot. And with every pot, it'll be putting home to John Higgins. And yes, he looks like a worried man there, doesn't he? He's not really used to newcomers, putting it to him. And that's what Joe Connor's doing. He's standing tall there. It's amazing what a bit of confidence does.
Seven.
Of course, to play the shots that he's playing, he's going straight through the middle of the cue ball. Couple of choices here. He could play the red and drag back, kiss the other red, stay on the black. I don't think he can pinch enough to get it onto the pink. Well, he's gone for it.
8.
He's very close to this pink. I don't know whether I like that one. He's going to have to be careful here not to push both balls at the same time.
Yeah, that's when the tip of the cue hits the cue ball, and the cue ball hits the object ball, all at the same time. That's why he's digging down. Referee will be having a close look at this.
Joe Connor.
And he was that desperate to get the cue out of the way. He took his eye off the pot.
Yes, I didn't like that one, John. He could have played the other one, couldn't he, just above it and gone back up for the blue, or played the red that he played and dragged back, kissed the two reds out the way for the black. But
yeah, well, that would have been risky. I think your first option was the one. Get up for the blue. Just keep putting points on the board. He's got John Higgins
Wall.
with his back against the wall, and now he's just let him off the rope, so to speak, here by playing for the pink as he did, because he couldn't get any further away from the pink unless he just rolled the red in.
Yeah,
so, short selection, of course, particularly when you're in trying to make a break, is so important in this game. He'll learn.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's on this red, I think, which may just be about occupying the pink spot.
8.
But he may be able to pot it and play for the pink. I don't think he's got the angle to run through to play for the black. No, that'd be risky. But you'd think if he potted it, it'd be on the pink into the opposite corner.
Nine.
And I think in potting that red, he's now cleared the pink spot. So under normal circumstances, you say this is a very good chance for John Higgins. One of the great break builders, of course. Already made 58 centuries this season. Career centuries, 741. Just a little comparison against Joe O'Connor. It's an unfair one. But Joe's only ever made 4 centuries in his career and 1 this season. And of course he's on the way up. I'm sure there's a lot more to come from Joe O'Connor.
$15.
I thought this red was a bit tight. Well, you can see it is very tight. So he was short with the cue ball there off his last shot, which has made this a lot more difficult.
16.
Nicely played though. Nicely back on the black. Just looking to see where he wants to stick the cue ball to get through to this red. 2 reds are very close together, so he's going to have to be careful with this next shot.
Once again there, he's played a stun run through, and has he run through far enough? It's just those little touch shots in and around the black that very unlike John Higgins. No, he's not on the red he played for. Those two reds, he played for the left-hand side of the two. Stone run through went wrong.
$24.
Well, that's a tremendous recovery.
$31.
Once again, he's not perfect. He's played a little black there, and he could have done with a better angle on this red. And if he screws back, he could run into the black and not be on it. I don't think he can play the run through. Just flicking off the other red, possibility he could run through in off. Just needed to, yeah, that's all he could do in the end.
32.
Just make certain of the red and leave the more difficult black.
$39. $40. $47. $48.
A tricky one now across this
55.
top cushion. Under normal circumstances, this would cause no problems for John. Just got to cue through the ball.
56.
He's played it well. I could see him try and move this red off the side cushion. Very close to winning line in this third frame. But he's elected to play in behind it. Can't blame him. Guarantees him a shot.
But he'd like to, wouldn't he, just to bounce off the cushion a fraction more and add it straight. Because it's a semi-blind pocket. See the cue ball, see the object ball. You've not got the pocket right in line. But this red Nakua, all that's needed. Oh, played it lovely. And if ever you needed an example of John Higgins, he's not playing well, but he's prepared to dig in and battle. And you know, Darren, I've always said, in my opinion, John Higgins' greatest attribute, he hates losing. And that can stand you in good stead in certain situations.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Been a very competitive character over the years. He's had the ability to win matches when they look like they lost and where he's been struggling. This needs to go in for his
72.
effort to continue, which is done. Yes, there's very few people have had that over the years, the ability when things are going against them to be able to get themselves out the doldrums and find a way to win. And he has found a way to win over the years.
76. $77.
Yeah, so we always say you never really settle until you get your first frame on the scoreboard, so John Higgins has done that now. Oh, this looks like a good shot. Is it going to run hard enough? Perfect line.
84. John Higgins, 84.
Well, the red doesn't go in, but that's not a problem. Joe O'Connor concedes, and we'll know now that John Higgins is up for it. But he still trails, 2-1. Yeah, and if ever you needed a great example of John Higgins, but I just feel sometimes, and maybe it's age, I don't know, but it just his little touch in amongst the balls, and we've got a few examples of this, and one in the second frame when Joe O'Connor had missed the red and left him absolutely inch perfect on this red just below the black. Now all he's got to do is screw back halfway between where the cue ball and the red is now. But you look what happens when he plays it. Just doesn't get through it, jabs at it, and finishes like nowhere. And what happened after that, he potted the black, but went too far away from the red over the corner, which was unmissable, snookered himself, end of break. And it's those little touches, and we've seen another one in the last frame, where a similar little touch shot. Well, this one he's playing a little stun run through, just wants to run through a couple of inches, just got into it too much, can't get through. And in the end played a great recovery on the red to the middle, but you can't keep doing that, can you?
No, that, especially that shot, I can't understand why he just didn't roll the black through slow. And the reason for that was because he isn't confident. So by playing the stun run, he could hit it a little bit harder. Well, obviously, which he did. But that cue ball just stopped dead. But I do agree with you, John. It's quite noticeable as well. John Higgins, right through his career, has always had the cue ball, the tip, right close to the cue ball. And I think as the last couple of seasons, it's as if he's coming further away from the cue ball now with his initial start-up in addressing the cue ball. So whether that's having much of an impact that he's not hitting the ball where he should be hitting it, and he's just lost a little bit of feel that way because he's having to push through that extra inch. Yeah,
they're just minor technicalities. But as Darren said there, under normal stances, a confident John Higgins would have rolled the black in. Absolutely right. But to be able to hit the ball a little bit firmer and get the cue through.
Thank you, the fourth frame.
He played the stun shot.
John Higgins to break.
Anyway, mid-session interval coming after this. Big frame.
John breaking off, he'll be feeling a lot better now that he's got that frame on the board. A nice 84. And it was all off really, an unexpected miss by Joe O'Connor. First one really of the match. A bad one anyway. Just a miscalculation with his positional play. Made things difficult for himself. Now will it affect him? That is the question.
Well, is that the answer you were looking for, Darren?
He certainly struck that one well, didn't he? I mean, these blacks look easy on the screen at home for the people watching, but they're not. They're tricky. But he's played it well. And he's now in perfect position again. So onward he marches.
8. No.
Probably a little bit straighter on this black than he would have liked. Well, much too straight. So he's going to have to screw on and off the side cushion for one of these two reds in the same pocket as the black. There's plenty of cue at the overhanging at the back. Is he hit this hard enough? Well, I don't think he's on the red he'd like to have been on, the one closest to the corner. Or is he?
16.
Oh, he's just on it. Just got there.
$17. $24.
So there we can see Joe O'Connor there. You see that little bit of insulation tape on the back of the cue. That's his marker for where his hand sits
Joe O'Connor,
on the butt for
24.
every shot. So as he knows he's at the right starting position. A lot of players do this. Because otherwise, you know, every time you get down, it could be half an inch further up the cue, half an inch further back. By having that tape there, his fingers will just feel it as he grips the butt. Well, John Higgins, he had a chance there, didn't he?
Whoa.
Oh, terrific pot. That was a John Higgins of old cracker. Found the gap and perfect on the black. Wonderful shot. Signs he's just beginning to find his stride.
Still on this red, but it's a lot
8.
thinner than he'd have liked. He didn't want the cannon on that last shot. So deceiving, because that looks pretty easy from where you'll be seeing it, but I can assure you that was very, very thin. He's played it very well. But things are looking better for John Higgins. The long red was crisp. That'll settle him right down.
Yeah, sure. $15. Thanks, John.
Yeah, nicely played, and the cue ball has just stopped enough so he can get comfortably to the white here as he plays the black. If he'd have run another fraction, he'd have been badly hampered, but he's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the referee saying, yeah, sure. I assumed that John, as he was passing, said, can you clean the black?
22. $23.
Not a bad angle on this black. There's one loose red, as you can see, separated from the cluster, but he may decide to go into them. He's got the perfect angle to do so. And it's worked out beautifully. Red to the middle, frame winning chance.
Yes, this is more like the John Higgins of old. He didn't hold back with that one. He's got a great split there. And this chance
31.
was all from that terrific long red he played, but he's overscrewed that one. So as John has alluded with John Higgins' touch, he's going to need a good little touch with this one. Right to the bottom, take all the pace out of the cue ball. Played it very well indeed. It's very easy to lose the cue ball there. If he'd potted that then to the right of the corner, but if he'd potted it in off the near jaw, he'd have been right in their middle jaws, this cue ball.
$39.
This is better stuff.
$45. $46. $52. $53.
Well, he potted that into the left of the pocket. Getting very close to the winning line in this fourth frame. John Higgins.
59.
Yeah, 35 points to lead now, so he's looking for red, cover red. And they'll go into that mid-session interval, all square.
60.
And that looked unlikely, the way he lost the first two frames.
Yes, you have to say, I think in the third frame, I think Joe O'Connor missed the trick when he played that one positional shot, didn't he, onto the pink and close cue in, and He went for it, missed, and he's allowed John Higgins right back into this match. Whereas he had total control at that moment in time, and John Higgins had sort of gone a little bit. And this is the shot. He had so many other options he could have done there, but to play the cue ball so close to that pink. Anyway, that's gone. He's paid the price.
67.
Deep in thought. Must be thinking what might have been going into the interval.
Still needs the blue. 43 points to front. But in goes the blue.
Yes, that was never in doubt, was it?
72.
All of a sudden, he looks like a completely different player, John Higgins. Under the circumstances, this is probably two of the better frames he's played all week here down at the Welsh Open. Because he looked totally out of sorts.
$78.
Again, all of a sudden, it's become very easy.
Yeah, wonderful break of 84 in the last possible century in this. As you say, looks like a completely different player.
88.
It shows his game's all
91.
there. Just got to get a little bit of consistency
95.
back into his mind more than anything.
$100.
It's a terrific end break. Never really in doubt. He's going to enjoy his mid-session interval, John Higgins. He must have been feeling the worst when he was 2-0 down, but all of a sudden he's made the match all square. They go into the mid-session interval, 2 frames all.
Yes, how things can change. All square then with that Higgins fight back. We're due to finish at 4:15, but we will be staying with it. We'll be back with it after the interval. Stuart Bingham, remember, going through to the semis earlier on. We'll find out shortly who joins him in the last 4. Well, something just a little bit different before we get back with our quarter-final between Higgins and O'Connor. Coming up later on, Neil Robertson takes on Kurt Mafflin in tonight's match at 7 o'clock live on BBC Two Wales. And you might have seen him in the back of our shop practising with his beanie hat on. And here he is. We've dragged him in just for a quick chat. But also, we're actually going to get you to sit through your 147 in round 1 against Jordan Brown on Monday night. Are you happy to do that? 11 minutes of it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And tonight, how are you feeling through the quarterfinals again?
Yeah, I feel really good. Last night's performance was very promising, the way I was able to recover from the first match. And yeah, I think everyone's sort of desperate to get to the quarterfinal stage where, you know, the tables are taken away and you're down to like the one table setup. And yeah, can't wait to get out there.
Well, you won this tournament, what, 12 years ago now?
Yeah,
so
crazy.
we shall see whether you make it all the way through to the final. But this is your 147 against Brown in the opening round. Always a special moment, Neil, to get a maximum.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first couple of shots were actually pretty difficult. It was a good black off the side cushion. This red here, you can't really do too much with the white, just have to concentrate on the pot, just drop it in for the black. And yeah, that was a really key shot early on. And then this shot here, I'm quite high on the black, but I know that should I miss it, then I'm covering the pocket, so there's not really any pressure on it. But once it goes in, then obviously there's a great chance to make a big break. And yeah, it's already I'm just looking at the reds to see what goes into 60. The right-hand corner pocket. So I'll land high on the black here, and 70. Then yeah, play it off 2 cushions to sort of like play a cannon into that red that's closest to the left-hand cushion, because I know I'll be on a choice of a few reds. And yeah, I get quite a nice flick, but I mean, it would be pretty unlucky not to have any kind of shot here. So just 2 cushions, touch the right-hand side, sort of like any cannon on the red, and you're bound to be on it on several reds really, you know, one in the middle or all these reds pot. So.
Oh, we like this non-stop commentary, Dominic. This is the future.
25. Well, it's great, you know, because every player has their own shot choices to make during the course of a maximum break. I mean, I'm sure, Neil, you're probably not thinking of a maximum now, are you? Because it's too early. The red, you've still got a pack of reds, the pink's tied up. And you've got scoreboard pressure. You're only 2-1 ahead at this stage. So winning the frame is paramount to you, isn't it, really? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's very key to go 3-1 up here. Jordan, especially the way Jordan started off in the match as well. He started off very well. He made 80 odd in the first frame, and he was looking very good. And yeah, so now I'm just I had a couple options. Maybe go into the pack or play for the loose reds. There's like 4 loose reds here, so there's no real need to go into the pack just yet.
32.
This one was a bit of a stretch. I made a bit of a funny noise because it was a real big stretch. I'd definitely rather just play it with my hand on the table rather than with the rest. And yeah, but from this point on now, every player's, once you get to sort of 4 or 5 reds and blacks, you're aware that you're on a 147, and the crowd tend to get a little bit quieter as well. So from here on, I'm aware that I'm on for the 147, but it all just depends on how the ball's split when you go into the pack. So this shot here, I was just looking to 40. Either go into the pack off the black with a lot of pace and try and open up as many reds as possible, or to play a bit of a soft screw into the left-hand side of the pack and just sort of flick a few reds out. Probably when I first came over here from Australia, I definitely would have just sort of smashed into the pack as hard as I could. But I guess, you know, learnt a lot off Joe Perry over the years, the way break building should be done, I guess, and went for the better option, I thought, where I was bound to be on a choice of reds.
Are you looking at the loose red at the back of the pack here and thinking, if I can banana the cue ball into the pack of reds and miss that loose red that's at the back of the pack, I can really possibly knock that on, and the reds will split well?
If the red was probably an inch or 2 lower towards the black, then I would have played that, but it wasn't quite the type where I'm actually going to be screwing that red towards the bottom left-hand corner pocket. So I would have been relying on quite a lot of luck, and so then, yeah, just played that.
48.
Comfortable red with the rest. And now I know that the red below the pack definitely pots, and so I'm just trying to pot another, you know, couple of reds, get a good angle on the red below the pack, and then I can free all the reds up and maintain position on the black.
Right. And at this point in the break, are you thinking about a maximum now?
Yeah, I know it's definitely on now. Obviously, I'm not chasing it, but I know that I'm still on for it, and the natural shot is always to still maintain position on the black. So now I'm playing 2 shots here. I'm going to play for the red below the pack and also the red in the middle. If I underhit this black, then I've got the red in the middle, and if I play it perfect, then I've got the red below the pack. Underhit it slightly, but I'm still perfect on the red in the middle. And I guess that's the key to making big breaks, is always leaving yourself multiple options.
56.
Yes, of course, yeah.
You remember this in really clear detail, don't
you?
Did you go back and watch it afterwards?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you make a 147, you always sort of look back, because you never really know sort of what it's like when you're out there, and then you go back and watch it on TV and you see the sort of shots.
So you watched it back that night?
Yeah. So this shot here was really important to land. Pretty much where I did, I'm perfect here. Got the option of potting the red and running through the pack, which I'm looking at now, but I know if I screw off the pack, then I'm definitely going to leave myself a shot at the black. The only tricky side is that you can land quite close to the side cushion, which I kind of did, but I played it as well as I probably
65.
could have done, really. And now you're on 65, and then the balls are all there. Now the pressure. This is when the pressure kind of starts, really, because the crowd are really aware of it and they want you to do it. And but this is quite a tough pot, actually. So. I just want to make sure this pot and then the next red, and then I can focus on the 147.
Yeah, because you've just seen those reds fan out beautifully there, and all of a sudden, in an instant, crikey, it's on here now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't have much angle on the black, so I did well to create the angle that 72. I did. And now I'm thinking, well, just pot the red in the middle, leave yourself a really high black, because you just want to make sure of getting the frame. Yeah, maybe in practice you might play a different shot, but yeah, you just want to. I mean, the reds, you know, you can't really miss the reds, so yeah, just leave a high black, and it's a comfortable shot. You know, even if I miss, he still needs a couple of snookers. So you just drag in, touch the right-hand side. I don't know how you like to play these.
Exactly the same way. It's what you call helping side. It helps you to cut the ball towards the pocket. And there you go, dead centre. You must have been delighted to.
I was actually had half an eye on the ref, because when the referee was walking towards the pocket, then I knew it was in.
Right. Do you really? Crikey. Yeah.
Not as I'm playing the shot, but as I've played it, you know, because I'm so high and I can't really see the angle of the pocket. And then, but when he was walking around, I knew, oh, it's in. And then I'm perfect on this red. Play it with a lot of bottom left-hand side. See the side take there to get on the black. And yeah, and now obviously the ball's not in the best position for a left-hander because there's 2 reds on the right-hand side. So I'm just looking at now, just always trying to leave myself as many options as possible. Like I say, because I'm left-handed, so I don't really want to be playing too many shots with the rest.
And you've got an angle on this black here, you're thinking, even if you could have got on those 2 reds that we see in the picture there, do you still think, well, I've got an angle here to get one of the more awkward reds out of the way, I'll play for that?
Yeah, definitely always try and get on the more awkward reds, yeah, exactly. This one was a key shot to get on because now it frees up the pocket for this other red that you see closer to my bridge hand. So now that's free in that pocket.
89.
And yeah, I'm just off straight on the black, which is okay. And then the important thing is here to make sure I overscrew the shot, if anything, to leave myself high on the 2 reds. Because if I fall short, then it makes it very difficult to get back on the black. Pretty much perfect here.
Yeah.
It's actually
96.
your 4th 147, Neil. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You remember the others?
Yeah, the last one I made was in the final of the UK a few years ago. So yeah, it's been a few years, and since then, actually, I haven't really had too many chances. Sometimes the chances present themselves, and sometimes they don't.
How nervous are you getting now? Because you've not got much to do now to make the maximum. Is it now that the nerves begin? I think every player's different. They'll feel nerves at different parts of it.
Yeah, the nerves are definitely there, but I'm feeling really good within myself. I knew I was playing pretty well, so just about holding yourself together and just pretend it's practice. You know, you just got to think, well, you know, just do it the same way I would in practice. And
yes.
Here I've got a couple of options. I can play for the red into the yellow pocket, the middle pocket, both corners. So, but I just commit to playing on the red into the bottom left-hand black pocket. Leave myself a shot with the rest. You know, you don't really want to be playing shots with the rest. You know, you'd rather have your hand on the table. But I know if I pot this, then I'm gonna have a perfect angle on the black.
What surprised me with this shot, you played it with a fair bit of power, didn't you? Just stand off the side cushion.
Yeah, because I thought, well, I could drop it in, but then that would leave a more difficult black to get on the yellow. So I thought, just you know, make the pot a little bit harder, but at least give yourself a great chance on the black. And played this shot pretty well. Obviously, a big advantage being left-handed, playing up for the yellow, because you can kind of leave yourself any angle near the blue. I actually didn't realise the brown was as tricky as what it was. This shot was a little bit more difficult than probably what it looked, actually, because I didn't quite have the angle to swing the cue ball around for the green into its natural pocket.
Yeah.
So I have to stun this in, just miss the brown, and then play for the green into the yellow pocket. That was probably, in a way, the best shot of the break, I think, because I landed perfect on the green.
Because if you land short there, you're in all kinds of trouble to hold for the brown.
Yeah. That's what Willie Thorne, I think, picked out as the hardest shot to play, and therefore the best, the best one that you got in.
Because it's easy to overhit that shot or underhit it.
Yeah.
And it's an unusual shot to play because it's not something you practice very often, is it? That
no,
type
it's
of
not
shot?
actually. No. Because the natural angle was to just pop the yellow and run through on and off the bulk cushion, but the brown was in the way.
Yeah.
Here I'm sort of pretty much dead straight, but it's not too much of an issue really. The pink's in the perfect spot, just high off the spot. So.
Being a left-hander, I was a little bit surprised you actually ran through rather than screw back.
I thought
to where
about
the
it, but
was.
you got more control, don't you? With the adrenaline and everything. If I play a soft screw, you know, I could overscrew the shot and maybe leave myself a bit too close to the side cushion. But if I just drop it in, because I'm quite tall, so it's not too much of a stretch or anything like that. Like I'm perfect here. It's pretty hard to miss this because I'm just topping in and on and off the top cushion here. And
did you have any sort of subconscious thoughts going on in the mind on the pink, or were you focused perfectly?
Not really. I was actually thinking on the blue. Don't do what Mike Hallett did in the Masters entry.
Yeah.
So just and then you can't miss the black. Joe's in the background, probably hoping that I'm missing the black. But
Have it.
Excellent stuff. There we go. I mean, brilliant. I mean, you look very happy, obviously, to have done it, and brilliant to have you talking it through it with us. And then, of course, Noppon Sangam gets one a few days later in the match against Mark Selby. I'm sure you're delighted for him, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it would have been nice
even if you have to share the prize money.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have it all to myself, but you know, as a sort of fellow overseas player, really happy for him. He's he's one of the most improved players on the circuit the last couple of years. So,
yes, a lovely cue.
Yeah. Really nice kid too. So yeah, obviously really happy for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and how did you celebrate? Did you go out and did you have a beer after that? Or
No,
you said you just went back and watched it in the hotel?
Yeah, just went back because it was with the roll-on, roll-off matches. You know, we didn't get out there until nearly 10 o'clock, so I was pretty shattered afterwards, and just went back to hotel. I just sort of like watched it back, and yeah, just went to sleep really, just to try and get ready because we've got so many matches this week. It's, you know, don't have too much downtime in between.
No.
And you'll be in action in a few hours' time. A big thanks to you for doing that. Appreciate
no
it.
worries.
Thanks very much, Neil. Good luck tonight. Neil Robertson there, and you can watch Neil's next match. He is in quarter-final action this evening, and he takes on Norway's Kurt Mafflin. You can watch that with us on BBC Two Wales at 9 o'clock. And this is the revised quarter-final draw then. As we've just said, Robertson against Mafflin later on. The other quarter-final this evening on table 2 is Hossan Vafai against Scott Donaldson. Currently 2-2 between John Higgins and Joe O'Connor at the interval. We'll be back with that in just a moment. And then earlier on, the first man through to the semi-finals, the 2017 champion Stuart Bingham through after a 5-2 win over Zhao Xingtong.
Happy the way I played. Got over the line in the end, but yeah, I had a spell there. The first sort of them 4 frames I won, I felt untouchable. The timing was good, my cue ball control was excellent, and yeah, it's sort of been happening sort of all week really. Last match, finished off the match with 3 tons, and just been sort of plodding along and quietly and playing well.
Pretty content and played really well earlier, Stuart Bingham, through to the semi-finals 2 years after winning the whole thing. He did look good, didn't he, Dominic? I mean, we talked about John Higgins and his confidence and how hard he is on himself, but Bingham, he looks in pretty good shape, doesn't he?
Yes, and quite sort of largely imperturbable, really. I think working with Terry Griffiths has just given him a little bit of mental strength when things are going wrong. It's good to have someone like Terry in your corner just to keep your mind sort of on an even keel, so to speak, so when you go out and play the next frames, you know, you've got a plan of action, you've got something to work on, and think, okay, you know, I'll just focus frame by frame, get myself back into the match. Sometimes when you're out there and you're on sort of on your lonesome, it's quite tricky when you're falling behind, your confidence dwindles away and your opponent looks to be stronger than you and you're thinking all these negative thoughts, but Terry will stop that happening, and that's, I think, it's been helpful for Stuart.
Imperturbable or unperturbed, maybe?
Imperturbable.
You've made up a new word, love it.
Have I?
What about this one then? I mean, John Higgins, he's looked perturbed, doesn't he, at times during this tournament, but I mean, you know, he's gone from confidence being very low, it would seem, to actually playing some of his better snooker that he's played all week to bring it back to 2-2.
Yes, he had to. 2-0 down, he needed to do something quickly, and he has. And he should be confident now of going on and winning this match from here.
We shall see. Here they come then, back out for the second session of their quarter-final. Higgins was 2-0 down, remember. It is now 2-2. Let's go back to John Virgo and Darren Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. And
Thank you. The
welcome
fifth
back,
frame.
everybody. Well, the question on everybody's lips, doesn't seem that long ago, Darren, was how was John Higgins going to react to being 2-0 behind? We've had the mid-session interval. We're going to be played to a finish. First to 5, remember. How was Joe O'Connor going to react to losing that 2-frame advantage?
Yes, well, he's had 20 minutes to have a good think about things. To be fair to him, he didn't lose the previous 2 frames by bad play. Okay, he made one bad decision on one shot in the 3rd frame, which allowed John Higgins to get his arm going, but other than that, it was John Higgins' good play. I was positively struck. I know he didn't make the pot, but he still hit it very well.
I just wonder, because he missed it so much, as he left the red to the right middle here. If it had got close, that cue ball wouldn't have finished as far across, but does this red go to the middle? I think it does. Well, I thought wrong. Not for the first time. Referee had a close look. It mustn't be touching, because if it had been, he'd have called it. Rob Spencer, our referee. Good name in snooker, that, isn't it? Spencer.
Foul. Thank you, John. Joe O'Connor 4.
Well, he called foul, but you heard him say thank you, John, because John immediately called it just as he pushed the cue through. You see the red that just touched it and immediately pointed at it.
Yeah.
Joe O'Connor deciding that he doesn't like the shot, and a rule that's been in place for many, many years. If a player plays a foul, you can have him play the next shot from where they lay. But John didn't make the best effort there. Wanted to get that cue ball tight to the top cushion.
Yes, John, if he had got a tight cushion, I think Joe O'Connor then would have regretted putting him back in. As it is, he's got a red to the right middle. He's going to have to play this full-heartedly. Commit 100% to the shot. Which he's done. Found the middle of the pocket. Oh, this is a good chance. Lots of reds in open play, both ends of the table, so makes his life a little bit easier. If he gets the wrong side of the blue or the pink, at least he knows he's got other balls without having to go in and out bulk that he can play on.
Seven.
Always feeling this situation, and it's tempting to stay up there because it's easy to get on baulk colours, but as to get down around the black spot area, that's where you score, well, higher value points, obviously.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, but I think he needs to...
11.
Well, he's on the wrong side of the blue, so he's going to probably play down for the red now. Nearest that green pocket. I need a good positional shot to play the one to the yellow pocket. I think there would have been value in leaving this red down near this pocket, as I said, just in case it all went a little bit astray.
16.
Up the top end of the table. Who was at that red there then as a banker? He'd be playing now to try and get down for the blue so he can get onto these two reds just above the black. That's where he needs to get the cue ball, in that area.
17.
And he's short.
Yeah, just get the feeling at the moment. I don't know whether it's because he's lost his two-frame advantage. It looks a little bit tentative in this visit. It wasn't like this in the first couple of frames.
$21. $22.
He's okay. Nice angle on the green. to stun off the side cushion. For that red possibly just to the left of the pink. Would have liked to have been closer to the red than this though.
25.
Positive strike. He's the wrong side of the blue. And he's got rid of all the reds that were this end of the table. So unless he decides to take the more difficult pink, he's going to have to play this with force. I mean, he has got the power in his cue action. He might just roll it through and take the longer red. So it's the forcing shot. All the left-hand side. Needs that cue ball to run. And he could have got just about there with just rolling through 3 or 4 inches. So
31.
He's got a little bit more work to do now. He actually played for the 2 reds there, John, I think, just above the black.
Funnily enough, he played a shot before, and I was looking, there's a couple of reds in the middle of the table. Look as though they could possibly be a plant to the left corner. That's what he's looking at now. There's a little bit of a gap between them, but if they're in line, it could be unmissable. There they are. And there it goes.
32.
It's one of those, if you hit the first red as though you're playing the pot, it's naturally going to hit the other red towards the pocket. Under-hit that slightly.
39.
It's on the red, but just a little bit more work to do with the cue ball. If it had been straight, it'd have been a formality, just stun it in. Bound to be on the pink, but now he's going to run into a second red and trust to luck a little bit.
$40.
Just about scraped in and nicely on the pink. So I would now consider, or he will, this a frame winning opportunity.
Yes, he's taken these well.
46.
To be fair to you, John, that was good spotting with that plant. I actually thought he played for the 2 reds below.
47.
But this has been a good replay, considering he lost the previous 2 frames. He's still not quite over the winning line in this frame, but he's very close. So as we can see, 58 head, 75 remaining. So he wants 2 more reds and colours.
54.
High value colours, that is.
$55.
Yeah, it's hard to see a problem. As Ian was saying earlier on, his total career prize money stands at £21,000. If he was to win this match, he would be guaranteed £20,000, so almost doubled his career earnings by winning this match. Nothing John Higgins. Didn't play the best safety
62.
shot. Didn't leave the cue ball tight on the top cushion. Left a red to the middle, and he sat down ever since.
63.
And he's looking, having all square at the interval, 2 each. He's going to drop behind the game because this black will leave John Higgins needing 2 snookers. So there you see it. 74 ahead, 59 remaining. Well, in actual fact, it's
70.
4 snookers needed. So John Higgins won't be coming back to the table. Is it a bit wide? Well, it doesn't matter.
70
He's
on the
won the frame. John Higgins does concede. So he's back in front, and that will make him feel good. 3-2 now.
Yes, he looks good once again, doesn't he, Joe O'Connor, having taken a 2-0 lead, remember, in this match before Higgins pegged it back to 2-2. O'Connor now 3-2 in front. And you thought the interval came at a good time for him?
Yes, I did. I mean, it will do. When you're a young player out there for probably pretty much the first time on the big stage against a great player in John Higgins, if you're 2-0 ahead, you're thinking of the fantasy really rather than the reality. You're thinking of maybe eking out a 3-1 advantage, maybe 4-0. That would be the fantasy. But when somebody, you've got to expect John Higgins to do something. And he did. He bounced back in a flash, made it 2-all. And all of a sudden, Joe O'Connor's got something to think about at the interval. And, you know, that interval, that 15, 20 minutes that you have for a cup of tea, you can just reflect on what's gone on, work out, you know, where you went wrong mentally to allow your opponent back into the match. And then you can start afresh again. John Higgins wouldn't have liked the interval. He'd have liked to carry straight on.
He got a cracking red in the middle pocket, didn't he, which set him on his way here.
Yes, we're going to have a look at this. Now, just look at this, the way he plays this. It's a very, very difficult pot intrinsically. He rolls it in, and just have a look where the cue ball finishes. Look what he's left John Higgins if he misses that pot. So there's a great deal of pressure on that, and he enabled him to go on and win the frame from there.
Yeah, and right on the blue. Good stuff from him. I mean, just talking widely about O'Connor, we mentioned this earlier, and it's worth just repeating it, isn't it, in terms of what it's worth financially to get through to the semi-finals, because his career earnings are only 21,000. If he gets to the semis here, he gets 20 grand, so he doubles his career earnings. I mean, it's just so significant from that perspective.
Yes, to him, at this stage, it's possibly, you know, potentially
not to John
life-changing.
Higgins, but, you know, for him, it's huge.
It is. Do you know what, though? You can have all the troubles of the world on your shoulders when you go out to play a snooker match, and it's probably the same in many sports, but you never think of them while you're playing the match. It's only afterwards you think, crikey, we're an extra 10,000 there, ball in that match, and then you start celebrating. But you're never really aware of it at the time, and that's probably good from Joe O'Connor's point of view, I'd say. And
you mentioned earlier on John Higgins has been in this position so many times before, hasn't he? He knows how to cope with it, even though he gets agitated. He appears quite grouchy with himself. He's been in this position before where he's had young players pushing him hard. He's won in the end.
Yes, exactly. He's a very, very solid player. He's got a great technique, good cue action, and he puts a great deal of belief into his technique. And I think John Higgins is going to have to play well. Now, he's got to win this next frame, 4-2. It will relieve a lot of pressure on Joe O'Connor.
Yes, it's a big frame for both players. Joe O'Connor would put him one away from a semi-final spot. John Higgins will put him one away from leaving this year's Welsh Open. So and he was close to that one. Good cue in. I think he has left John Higgins though a shot to the right centre. It's not easy. He hasn't got to do a lot with the cue ball. Very acute angle.
Wow.
Very well played indeed. Joe O'Connor tapping his knee in appreciation of that last shot. Made it look a lot easier than what it actually was. And he's got a nice little angle now on this next red. So we're going to see a control split here.
8.
You're trying to stay on the black. Just playing a stun off the pack.
9.
I was just about to say he's played that perfect. That cue ball has just travelled about 2 inches further than he'd have liked. Awkward cue in on the black. Right by here, it looks like it's going to be perfect. Just needed it to stop. Never easy, never easy. I think he can count himself slightly unlucky there to finish where he did. Man, we've seen some of these this week go in from there.
Yeah, and funnily enough, they seem to go in with a bit more pace. But I agree with you. He was unfortunate, but you always need a bit of luck when you go into them. Anyway, he's not left anything. Well, that was a dreadful safety shot from John Higgins. Caught that so thick. When he wanted to catch it quarter ball, he caught it half ball. That was reminiscent of the safety he was playing in the first couple of frames. Nice easy starter. Black's over the pocket.
One.
Just about okay.
8.
But looking at her again, just gone a little bit too far. May even decide here to play a little cannon on the black. To try and develop the black for the opposite corner. Hmm.
9.
Didn't get into that. I know it was awkward cueing, just hampered slightly by the red that the cue ball was closest to. That's why he was trying to deliver the cue through straight. He potted the red, but wanted to catch that cannon on the black a lot fuller than he did. So a good chance, not taken.
Joe O'Connor. 9.
He's having a good look at this. He's in a lot of trouble here, John Higgins. That's a better played safety shot from him. That's probably the best shot he's played all match in the safety department. Joe Connor now is in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, that's the type of safety play you expect to see from John Higgins. It's not been consistent enough. I mean, the last safety shot before that one, he played it poorly, and he was lucky to get away with the fact that Joe only made 9 points from it. I always think with safety success, like pot success, you've got to be 90% and above. And that's very low for John Higgins, 76%. It's not much better for Joe, to be honest with you. This isn't hard enough. I'm sure he played to it off 2 cushions, not 1 cushion.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's had a go, had a practice. As I say, he's trying to hit this red off 2 cushions, not 1. Very important that the referee gets this back, because the red he's trying to hit off 2 cushions.
Sure.
The one nearest the thing, I think he could hit that full ball, so if he doesn't hit it this time, he may get a warning. And the reason I'm saying that, the first red, or the one closest to the cue ball, he might not be able to hit that full ball, but you can't be snookered by another red. He needs to hit this. And he's missed it. Has he? Oh, well, it just got there. I thought he was going to be a little bit wide of the target, but well, he's okay. He nearly left it on. Sigh of relief. Oh, I didn't realise he'd left this on though.
What?
And a good solid pot from John Higgins. So that good safety John Higgins played has offered up this good opportunity.
Six. Seven.
Well, there's no hanging about there. Straight into the pack. Was he on
12.
this red to the right corner? And if he was playing just a little dragon swerve, he'd be able to pot that red, but he wouldn't be able to get on a colour. So, well, he played the positive shot there, and I think he's going to get nothing out of it. He had a couple of loose reds he could have played for, but the top players like to go into the pack and get the reds spread around the table. I think it's going to have to be a good safety. It'll be towards the yellow side of the table due to the 2 reds nearest the corner pocket.
John Higgins, 12.
So both have had a good chance in this 6th frame. Not really scored anything significant.
I was going to say a little bit too thick on that safety, and that's why he's only reached the baulk line. But has he left anything? Certainly can't get, I don't think, to those 2 reds that are close to the corner pocket. One further up will go, but that's a tough pot. So playing the safety, trying to swing it round off 3 cushions here. Get the green as the cover. it's better than it looked immediately, because I thought he hit the red a little bit too thick. But it's worked out pretty well. Looks like he can just get past the green to hit this red quarter ball. Don't want to hit it too thin and catch the 3 reds in the middle of the table. And what's impressed me about him, Darren, is invariably he avoids the baulk colours, which is a must when you're playing safe. He gets good lines.
Yes, and he got a nice measured pace about him as well. He doesn't rush, and he's not slow either. He has left a red to this right corner. That's a big test for John Higgins. Wasn't far away. He needs the brown to come to his rescue, which I think it's just about. Even if that red had gone in, it wouldn't have been nicely on a colour. He'd have had to play the little roll up. So in the context of this match, this is turning into an extremely important frame.
Foul.
And there was a misjudgment.
John
It's
Higgins
probably the
4.
worst safety he's played all match. He's been very, very astute in that department. So another long one for John Higgins. Under normal circumstances, this would be away.
One.
And again, didn't really play it, John, did he, with confidence. He's made sure of the pot. But to miss them reds, he'd have had to play that there with a bit of side, to have checked it back off the cushion, to come back towards the black, but he just played it plain ball, made sure of the pot.
Absolutely. No real conviction. Play it with a bit of side or stun it to widen the angle. He's been around long enough to know that, and he's potted the red almost in the middle of the pocket, so he should have known he was going to get a cannon on the second red.
John Higgins 1.
So another decent chance, spurned. Only add to the confidence of young Joe O'Connor, this. Normally you play someone of the class of John Higgins, you make a mistake, cost you the frame. He's made 2 safety mistakes now, and it's not cost, well, it's cost him 1 point. Seems to be finding his length now. Got to catch this just right. Got to avoid that pink and blue in the middle of the table. Needs to miss the brown and didn't. So has left John Higgins another red to this right corner. Now this time, will he screw across the face of the black, cannon the red that's closest to the top cushion for position on the black? He may think it's worth the risk.
One.
This was played to absolute perfection. I think he had a little anxious look when the cue ball come off that top cushion with the side. Thought for 1 minute he was going to be covered behind the red, but Well, he's played for the red in the middle. And he's going to have to settle for the one in the corner.
8.
As long as the black goes to the right corner, that might have worked out in his favour.
Nine.
Shows you just that little thing that he was slightly hampered. He needed to put a little bit of right hand side to be straighter on the black. He shouldn't cause him a problem, but straighter on the black he'd like to have been. No problem, judged the cannon perfectly. All set fair now, you would think, to level the match once again.
16. $17. $24.
Just looking for 2 more reds, 2 more colours.
25. $32.
So just this easy red to right centre.
33.
Oh, so it's looks like for all intents and purposes the match is drawn level again. 3 frames all. John Higgins has never been in front in this match. 2-0 down, 2 all, 3-2 behind, now 3 all. So the next frame going to be the one and he takes the lead.
40.
Joe O'Connor has had a couple of chances in this frame. But I think on reflection, 3 each is a fair result.
45.
Okay, there's been some misses, but it's been a high standard. Both players have scored very well. Joe O'Connor's had breaks of 73 and 70 in the 3 that he's won. John Higgins has an 84, 106.
53.
He's on 53 and counting in this one, so it's been a very good standard.
John Higgins 53.
So Joe O'Connor is going to sit in his chair as he does, gives the game up. John Higgins will be very relieved, still in this match. He now draw levels, 3 frames all.
He's the most successful player in the history of this tournament, John Higgins. He's won it on 5 occasions. If he's going to get a 6th, well, you know, that was crucial, getting that frame.
It was. He's going to have to fight hard. I mean, it's 3 all. If Joe O'Connor came into this match thinking he's decided underdog, He won't be thinking that now. It's 3-all. He'll feel just as entitled to win this match as John Higgins will be, and it's just going to be now who copes with the pressure the most and pots those pressure balls when needed.
As Darren and JV was saying, his long pot success hasn't been great today, but this was superb.
Yeah, this was a super pot, perfectly judged. Now, when you play a shot like that, you've always got a bit of side spin on the ball, and John there was a little bit concerned that side spin would have taken the cube behind the red, and he'd have lost position on the black, but fortunately, he was on the black, and he was able to win the frame from there.
And what was that word you used earlier to describe John Higgins?
Oh, largely imperturbable.
Imperturbable. I must apologise for suggesting that word doesn't exist. Your vocabulary is better than mine. What about Joe O'Connor then? I mean, you know, he's going to have to take this next one, do you feel, if he's going to do this?
He's got to keep his mind in the present, just focus on the fact that it's 3-all and take every shot on its own merits, because if he starts looking ahead, if he gets a great chance, a golden opportunity, he doesn't want to be thinking, crikey, if I can hold myself together here, it'd be 4-3. He's just got to play every shot as he would on the practice table, really, and just focus on himself.
Best of 3, effectively, for a place in the semis.
Pressure's on.
There we go. John, Darren, imperturbable. It is a word.
Yeah, don't play Scrabble with Dominic. Joe O'Connor breaks off. He's left a possible pot, second in from the right. I think he can play the pot in, avoid the kiss on the black. Seems every time any player breaks off, there's always a chance of a pot. And of course, if John Higgins knocked it in, got on a colour, could be your only shot. He did play it confidently enough. He played it with enough pace to come in and out of ball. Should it have gone in? And kissing the brown helped him somewhat.
Yes, but they were bread and butter shots for John Higgins, wasn't they? You know, he'll be disappointed to have missed that one. Well, he struck it well. As the black come to his saving grace, I think it might have. If he'd got a little bit closer to that, I think he'd have left the red on. As it happens, no damage done for Joe O'Connor. So John will be looking at coming off these reds and getting down somewhere between the brown and green. Just got to be careful he doesn't leave a path through to the red to the left corner. He'd have this cue ball to be right on the brown. Wants it just to stop in front, so it's awkward cueing. Well, anxious looks.
Well, the only downside, as you can see, there is a gap. There's always a gap. But can he squeeze an angle? Because if he hits it straight, he'll run through and off. Can he pinch a bit of the pocket?
Well,
he nearly ran through and off. I think in the end he was just happy to get the red out of the way and then play safe.
pink ball. Joe O'Connor, 1.
Well, again, he's caught that much thicker than he'd have liked, John Higgins. And all the top players, that's their pet 8, is a cue ball cannon into a bulk colour. I mean, as it happens, I don't think he's left anything on. Joe O'Connell will be looking to try and play a very telling safety shot. It's really strange so far, isn't it, John? John Higgins 1 minute looks $1 million, and then he just looks like this confidence has zapped out of him again. And then all of a sudden he looks unbelievable confident again. Really strange.
Oh my word, what was that? He played to it, that red, so thin. And well, basically is it twice as thick as he needed to, or wanted to. And John Higgins has won this little safety battle, not with a good safety, but with a bad one from his opponent.
Yes, but the same pattern as the rest of the frames. He's had a chance then to sort of get himself in front. And he's missed a red he would never miss under normal circumstances. I think he's covered the path through to this red, to the corner. He could play a little slight swerve. Might even see him playing the red to the left as a cannon. Well, is he thinking about a 3-ball plant here, is he?
Well, unless there's a gap between the red and the pink. There must be. You wouldn't play the 3-ball plant, surely. There must be a gap between the red and the pink. There is. Told you, there's always a gap. Yep, and all he had to do is hit the red, and with it being so close to the corner, it had to drop.
One.
But it doesn't look as though, if he's not on the brown, he's not good on any colour. And I don't think he can get past the blue for the brown. He can't.
It didn't look like for us, or John, did it, that he could get through to play that red direct onto the other one. Well, that was a bonus for him. A little bit unlucky to snooker himself on the brown.
Well, John Higgins is sorry out of plant, and if he's on the brown, he's okay. Well, I say he's okay. He's got a little bit of work to do with the cue ball. He can't get into the cue ball too much because in potting the brown, he'll cannon the green, which he's got to avoid at all costs. It was made. It wasn't a natural, but he came down, had a look. Well, does the green pass the brown? That's amazing. It did pass. It did pass. There was 3/4 of the pocket there. Not all of it.
Yes, but, you know, I think even if the brown hadn't been there, he'd have missed there with that green. He just doesn't seem to be able to get himself ahead in this match.
He's had a couple of good chances. We know he'll battle on till the end, but he's gifted a chance here to his opponent, which is very rare for John. This cue ball needs to slow up. He doesn't want to be hampered. It's okay. Not perfect. But at least he's got a pot on.
7.
A lot closer to the cushion than he'd have liked. He's still on this blow. He just lost that cue ball by about 3 or 4 inches. So the little drop-in shot, it's not really there. So you might see him play the cannon, the 3 reds just above the black.
Yeah, and I think there's value in this. Don't take it out of the pot, but he could release the black into play as well. He got the cannon right. Well, that's not how he played it, but he's released the black.
12.
Bit fortunate there. As Darren said, I think he played into the 3 reds, but he had a little bit of left-hand side, just squared it up off the cushion. Now, can he get on the black off this red? Needs to be very precise. Well, in the end, the black must go into
13.
this corner. Clearly does.
$20. $21.
Well, now we know the black's available into both corner pockets. What a chance this is. Might play a little cannon here. The bottom one of the 3 reds does go, but why not loosen them a bit more? Bound to be on the red into the same pocket as the black. Played it a bit more control, but just nudging that red has made these 4 reds in the middle of the table available. What a chance now.
28. $29.
Just about okay. Kind of have to force this over for a red in the same pocket as he's potting the black. He didn't force it over enough.
Yeah. The white, John.
It's not the best shot, that. Asking for the cue ball to be clean, but
36.
I didn't see that as the reason for him playing such a poor positional shot.
Yeah, it just looked like he quit a little bit on it. To be fair to Joe, he's really acquitted himself well out here today. I mean, this is probably his first real big British TV match, and
$37.
he's really acquitted himself very well, and he's a real nice young lad. I say young lad, young man now. But for his first season back on the tour, he's having a very good time of it. As they say, you only get out what you put in. He works hard at his game.
Awkward bridging, but what also is causing him concern is the red that's just below the black. And this was all brought about by his loose positional shot the time before. If he kisses the red near the top cushion, he may be on nothing. I told you there's always a gap, didn't there? But what he's done, and I don't blame him for doing it, he's just concentrated on making certain he didn't miss the black. And now he'll be thinking, how did I not just flick one of those reds and leave it on? He's still got a pot on, but obviously looking for something a lot easier than this.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, so confidently played. Just under hit it, as you see, wrong side of the blue.
45.
It was the type of shot you think a lot of players would be playing it a little bit firmer, sort of a shot for nothing if it didn't go in. Because if that red hadn't have gone in, you feel as though it stayed in the jaws of the pocket. So he's staying confident, staying positive.
Yes, and like I said, win or lose this match, he's really acquitted himself well, and he's proved to himself that on the big occasion, on the main arena table, he can handle himself out there.
50.
Still got work to do in this frame. And again, he's played that with loads of confidence. Very easy to have come across the cue ball there and flicked a little bit of unwanted side on.
Quick look at the scoreboard as we look at his pot success, 91%. John Higgins was up at 91, he's dropped. Needs this black and one more red. So he's playing for the red now. Best chance to give this as we look at that score, 59 points ahead, 59 remaining. John Higgins staring, a deficit of 4-3, and his opponent being one frame away from a place in the semi-final. Got to commit to this. Just the red needed. No. Oh, it dropped.
59.
Well, unbelievable. Well, even John Higgins looks a bit surprised. Once it hit the top jaw, surely it can't drop. So John Higgins won't be coming to the table. He's been playing catch-up, as Darren said, all through this match, and every time he gets level, looks as though he had opportunities to go in front. He can't manage it. And now with that red dropping, Joe O'Connor is going to be one frame away from a place in his first ever semi-final. In the biggest match of his career.
$72.
Well, it doesn't matter about the
Joe
red.
O'Connor,
John Higgins will
72
stay in his seat and puts his cue on the table. He's going out in the arena, getting himself prepared for the next frame, which is all that Joe O'Connor needs for a place in the semi-final. He leads the defending champion 4 frames to 3.
Well, it's already his best ever performance in a ranking event, and he's one frame away from his biggest ever win, the win of his life, a victory over John Higgins, the 5-time Welsh Open champion. What a story.
Amazing, really. If John doesn't go on to win this match, I think he'd be furious with himself, because John's safety today has been very poor by his standards. He's missed a number of pots. He's just not coping well out there, John Higgins, and it's Joe O'Connor that looks the more accomplished. Look at this missed red from John. He'd never miss this in a month of Sundays. I've seen a few shots, particularly in that frame, that tells me John's very uptight because he's almost decelerating into the shot. This was another one. He's hitting them thick, and that tells me he's slightly decelerating. The cue's not travelling through the ball at its fastest, which is basically the essence of timing.
And look at his face here, look at his reaction there.
He's furious, yeah.
He is furious, disgusted with himself, looking up to the ceiling, just wondering what's going on at the moment. Under pressure, it's Joe O'Connor coping much better than Higgins.
Oh, definitely so. I mean, I suppose you could say he's got nothing to lose, so he's able to just focus on himself, his performance.
And what about this spot here? You couldn't believe it went in.
Well, these balls do not go in on pockets as tight as these are, but for some bizarre reason this week in the Most Points Arena, I don't know why it is, but the television pockets are playing extremely big. and they shouldn't be quite that big. Something needs to be addressed there, in my opinion.
We were having this chat with John Higgins earlier. He was actually here in the practice room and you made this point to him, but he disagreed with you. You actually think the pockets are bigger than they normally are, bigger than last year?
No, I'm sure they conform to the pocket templates, which have been pretty much unchanged for probably a couple of decades or so. But for some bizarre reason, I do know they've beveled the fall of the slate, particularly on the middle pockets, to enable the table fitters to fit this cloth that's not easy to fit. It's an unusual type of cloth around the pocket fall. So therefore, they've beveled the corners as well. And maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know.
It could be, or it could just be, as in that red that went in. When your luck is in, it's in, and it just got that bit of luck there, didn't he? But in any case, Higgins there with the pressure on, then staring defeat in the face. I mean, 4-3, but you can't write somebody like him off.
Oh no, there's a great deal of pressure now on Joe O'Connor, because all of a sudden, I mean, going into the match, if you'd have said to him that he'd be 4-3 ahead, he wouldn't believe you probably. But now he is 4-3 ahead. He's got that pressure to face now of that one more frame that he needs, that one good frame he needs to play to get into, you know, what for him will be a landmark, a semi-final.
Joe O'Connor, he's already beaten Kyron Wilson and Ding Junhui, one frame away from the biggest win of the lot.
Yes, absolutely. Probably the biggest frame of Joe O'Connor's life, or one of them anyway. He's going to have 2 cracks of the whip to get into this semi-final. 2 frames left to play. John Higgins will have to win both of them. This man on the cue just needs the one. So he has left the red to right centre for John Higgins, but this is a horrible shot. This will tell us how he's feeling in the way he plays this one. He's a long way off there. Didn't really commit to that. Wasn't easy queuing out the jaws of the pocket, as you can see. There wasn't much room for error.
That was a long way away. But he's got the cue ball somehow back up to the baulk line, so he's not left anything that easy for John Higgins. And of course, well, there's the straight red that I was going to suggest he could play on, and if he pots it would be on the black. But there's pressure, because he knows if he makes one more mistake, it could be his last.
He's come across that one. Normally cues very straight. Again, a little smile to himself. He knows you've just seen his backhand then just come across. Took him away from the level playing field. On these cloths, dead straight pots are very hard as well, because they are ultra fine, double shaven. Joe O'Connor doesn't mind. He's got a real easy opportunity now. It's just whether he can hold himself together. But what a chance.
Yeah, young man from Leicester, following the footsteps, of course, of our co-commentator, Willie Thorne. Mark Selby, of course, who's the world #1. He'll have inspired him to these type of heights.
8.
It's funny when you get an area. I mean, Wales, obviously a great hotbed of snooker. I always remember in the north when John Spencer first came on the scene, won the World Championship, everybody's game seemed to raise 14, 21 points because you know what the bar is set at. Same in Scotland. They struggled to have a top player until Stephen Hendry arrived, and of course we had John Higgins and all the champions that have come, Graham Dott, Stephen Maguire, Alan McManus, and a lot of young Scottish players still coming through.
14.
So he knows what's needed. I'm certainly have watched with great interest and supported Mark Selby in the last few seasons, and probably practiced with him. Leicester's not that big a town. And the chance has come for a place in the semi-final of the Welsh Open.
Thanks. 21. $22.
He's just got to keep tight control of the cue ball. Keep his concentration. This has been a real good performance today from Joe O'Connor. He's played very measured indeed. Okay, he's missed a couple. And like I said earlier in the commentary, he's a real nice, likeable young man. This will do his confidence, the power of good. There's nothing more demoralising for any sportsman, I would have thought, putting all the effort in and getting nothing back out of the game. This is what all the hours of hard practice, all the travelling, all the graft, to be rewarded for opportunities like this. Down for the blue this time. If the pink goes to left corner, he could play the little stun up and take the pink to left.
37. $38.
So no problem.
Balls couldn't be set much better than this.
44.
But it's the moment that could take over whether he wins the frame at this visit or not. Just got to focus on what's ahead of you. 5 times champion John Higgins just has to sit, wait and hope
45.
that he does get back to the table.
$52.
So far, so good. He kept nice control of the cue ball.
$53.
John Higgins now just maybe perked up a little bit there. He's not perfect on this pink. The cue ball will be running loose slightly. Should have been straighter on it. Right in the heart of the pocket, though.
$59.
Well, I think John would be very concerned now. I think the big problem in this match for me, he didn't stamp his authority on this young man early on in the match, particularly the first couple of frames when his safety play wasn't what we expected from John Higgins. Gave Joe a chance to get his hand on the table, start scoring. Gave him the confidence to carry him through.
Yes, John. I agree with that, and I also think that every time he's drawn level, he's then had chances to score something and put himself ahead, and he's missed a couple of really easy pots every time he's come level.
67.
So he has had the chances to take the initiative, but he hasn't capitalised on them.
Yeah, so that backhand looking steady as he pots
68.
what is frame ball. And John Higgins, defending champion, looks to be on his way home. He's beat Kyron Wilson, he's beat Ding Junhui, and now he's going to beat one of the all-time greats, particularly if this black goes in. And it's in. No way back to the table now for John Higgins. What
75.
a scalp this is for this young man.
76.
He's shown good technique, good resolve when John Higgins kept coming back at him. And he will improve for this performance. So who's to say how far he can go in the tournament?
83. $84.
This is more like a lap of honour, but he'd love to finish with a century. He's only made one this season. He's only made 4 in his career. So wouldn't it be nice? Talk about the icing on the cake.
91. $92.
Wanted to be straighter on the blue, so he's got matches over, it doesn't matter, but as I say, he'd love to make the century. Just got to play that little gap in between yellow and brown. I don't think he can hold for the red near the green spot. Looks nice, bit of right. Oh, the other side, look at that. Look at the side he got on that.
97.
97. One of these reds, and even the yellow would get him to the ton.
$98.
So this yellow for his second century of the season. What a match he's played, and what a time to do it. Get in, you beauty. Absolutely sensational from Joe O'Connor. As I say, we've had some great players over the years from Leicester. Looks like we may have another.
101.
His highest ever tournament break was
104.
113 in last year's Northern Ireland Open. There's a possible
106.
131 on here.
$109.
You know, I think I saw the hint of a smile on his face there. And why not?
113.
Inch perfect on the blue.
$180.
Dreams do come true. He's had a tough draw, as we say. Kyron Wilson, Ding Junhui.
124.
And now 5 times champion of this great event, John Higgins. What a finish from Joe O'Connor, and a big warm congratulations from John Higgins.
Thanks, John.
And John Higgins will be very impressed with that performance, as everybody in this arena is. Joe O'Connor, a name to remember, knocks out the 5 times champion of this Welsh Open, and he's through to his first ever semi-final. He beats John Higgins by 5 frames to 3. Remarkable.
Indeed, no ordinary Joe this evening. 103rd in the world, Joe O'Connor, and he has knocked out the 5-time Welsh Open champion, as John Virgo was saying. He beat the world number 7 Kyron Wilson, he's beaten the world number 8 Ding Junhui, and he's now beaten the world number 5 John Higgins. Extraordinary stuff. What a story.
Yeah, I suppose, given the players that he's beaten this week, he should have gone into that match thinking that he could beat John Higgins. Of course, he's got the occasion to deal with. He's not quite used to that, is he? But what a performance, as John was saying there, he was doing his summing up. A wonderful performance, and he was so deliberate, so around the table, kept a lovely even tempo, and he looked so in control of the whole situation, and he dealt with everything that John Higgins threw at him today.
And warm words from John Higgins there. I mean, I think he appreciated what he saw, as painful as it was for him. But he just got better as he went on, didn't he, O'Connor? He got more relaxed, more confident, and, you know, his potting, his snooker got better.
Yes, it did. I think the player that seemed to feel the most pressure and suffer under it was John Higgins. Very off colour today, John Higgins. It has to be said. He'll have his own sort of thoughts on the match and what he did wrong. I think most of his problems were psychological ones. Maybe he'd have felt better playing one of the top seeds, I don't know. But Joe O'Connor put in a tremendous performance. You cannot take anything away from him.
He's going to be joining us live in just a few moments. But John Higgins, he hasn't looked quite right this week. It's another big, big star of snooker going out. I mean, really, only Stuart Bingham and Neil Robertson now are the stars left in.
Well, yes.
The people we know, the household names.
Yes, exactly. Well, Joe O'Connor will be playing Stuart Bingham next, so you know what will Stuart Bingham be thinking? He'll probably be much happier playing Joe O'Connor than he would be playing John Higgins, but he'll give great credit to Joe O'Connor. He won't take him lightly, I can assure you.
Well, it is nice to unearth new gems as well, isn't it? And I think we've got a new gem potentially joining us any second now. There he comes. Congratulations to you, Joe O'Connor.
Hey, great performance.
Wow. I mean, I don't know where to start, really, because 131, that was the biggest break of your career. I mean, the biggest win, undoubtedly, surely.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what to say.
You lost for words.
This week's like a dream. Yeah, I've been playing really well all week. Seems that the people I've been playing against haven't been at their best, which may have helped me. But yeah, I'm over the moon.
Did you sense that this week, you know, that you've beaten Kyron Wilson, you've beaten Ding Junhui, and now John Higgins? Did you sense that they weren't quite on top of their games?
Yeah, the missing balls, which I've watched them all on TV. You know, they're top players, you know, top 10 players. So I never expected to get any chances, let alone second chances. So yeah.
Can I just ask you, as an underdog going into a match like this, on the television, in front of the cameras, a big audience, playing John Higgins, one of the game's greats, what were your thoughts going into the match? Did you think you could beat John Higgins today?
Having beat Kyron and then Ding, obviously I know my game was there or thereabouts, but John's such a good match player, and he kept coming back at me, and I thought, oh, this time he's gonna go in front and pull away. So yeah, I was just pleased that I held my nerve when it came sort of close in the match, and that break in the last. Yeah.
Well, look, the glory of getting through to the semi-final here is enough, but also the paycheck is important to you, isn't it? I should imagine £20,000 for getting to the semi-finals, which basically doubles what you've earned through your career, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't really want to be thinking about the money at the minute.
But you don't when you play, do you? When you're actually playing a match, you don't think of the prize money, do you? You never think of these things, these extraneous.
You do. I think it will put you off.
Yes, potentially, I guess. And just to reiterate, though, highest ever break. I mean, 113, I think, was your highest before that. You've got a 131. You know, you'll get that 20,000 for the semi-final, and then who knows where you can go. And biggest ever win. You know, I mean, a terrific week. You may as well do the lottery tonight. You pick the right numbers. It might come up.
I think I will be going on the lottery tonight. It's my week.
I'll join you.
And you've got Stuart Bingham now. You'll play him in the semi-finals tomorrow.
Right.
You'll have no fear going into that then, will you, after this?
It don't get any easier, does it? No, obviously Bingham's playing really well, so I won't be taking nothing for granted and just play my game.
Well, many congratulations.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
fantastic day for you. Well done,
Cheers.
Joe,
Cheers.
beating the 5-time Welsh Open champion. And the quarter-final draw then, let's have a look at how it's shaping up after this afternoon's first 2 quarters.